Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of my signal-based series of videos. We're going to be mapping the colony you saw in part 1. If you haven't seen that, I'm going to link it here. And we're also going to be comparing it to the other colony and going ahead and mapping that one as well so that we can start tracing our colony's progress. So I'm going to get a smoker lit. You guys come along today and stick around. Welcome back to the Hive Doctor, everyone. Okay, so I've got my smoker lit, obviously. Just a little bit of smoke at the entrances, nothing drastic yet. I'm going to go ahead and start with marking the first 3 variables, just like we did last time, the weather, rainfall, and forage. And I just want to remind everyone, when you're filling out these 3 variables, this is something you do every day, even if you don't have a hive inspection that day, so that you have something to correlate your results with, because these are the most influential things on the colony. So it's important to see what the weather has done every day, the rainfall, and the forage availability, so that you can know why your hives look this way when you look back to see what the conditions were. And I admit, I haven't been doing this, so it's kind of a reinforcement to myself as well. So we're here way over on the 13th. You can see how long I've been delinquent. Today we're a little windy, but we're also sunny. So I'm going to be doing this windy, as you can see over here by my thumb, and sunny, as you can see outside. And we've gotten quite a few days of rainfall. I'll be filling that in because it is important to know the rainfall. If you don't have any rain, don't expect a lot of nectar production. And also don't expect a lot of forage to be found in your colonies, even if it is available. But I know what our forage availability is today. Let's go ahead and mark that as well. So again, 13th, we still have a lot of minor sources coming in. We don't have what I consider to be a flow. Today we're going to start with the same colony that I did in part 1, so that you can go ahead and see the comparison from last time I was in. And then we're going to skip over to this one and fast forward. And while I open this, I just want to point out, if you don't know what to look for in the external environment, and you get into a colony to make some manipulations, change up a few things, then the only thing you're basing your moves on, your manipulations, your interventions, are your own expectations. And if you don't know what's going on out here, how good is the quality of your expectations? So we cannot base our moves on the inside of a hive on our own expectations when we don't even know what we're looking for. It's like a pediatrician suiting up for brain surgery. Just because they're wearing scrubs doesn't mean they should be in the surgery room, or whatever you call it. All right, let's bring you over, because I see drone brood I just busted open. They're building up a little bit of comb. We've got enough of a flow going on. It's not a honey flow, it's just enough nectar coming in that they feel like they can build some comb. So let's look at that. So I've opened up some drone brood here. This is a great time to kind of move it around and just look for mites on it and the cell that it was in. And I see absolutely no mites. Doesn't mean I don't have mites. I think we beekeepers should always assume that there are mites in the colony. But what it does mean is that the mite count's probably still low. All right, so as a reminder, what we're looking for first, the presence of eggs. Are there no eggs, some, or a lot? The rate at which they're growing, and how many frames of brood we find. I'm really interested to see if we've got 1 or 2 more frames of brood. We may or may not, but I need to, this blue color is what we used to indicate this colony last time. It's what identifies this colony. So this blue color, I'm going to try my best to match again. And so this is what we're going to be filling out first before we get to the last sheet. A little bit of smoke. Whenever you bust open any comb and you expose brood, the bees automatically start to get in there and lick things up. Any royal jelly, bodily fluids from the drones, nothing goes to waste. And I'm not going to let this little chunk of honeycomb go to waste. Oh man, that's good. All right, they'll get to this soon enough. They didn't have this last time. This wasn't capped. So I don't know why they felt they could work all the way out there and do that little bit. But last time this was the frame where we started to see some real action because it was a heavy frame. Awesome. So we still got tons of capped honey on this, a lot of open nectar that they're storing everywhere else, and they're also packing in a lot of pollen in there as well. And that's on the inside of this frame. The outside, we've got capped honey, and it's heavy with a lot of incoming nectar. In fact, let's see if we can see that glisten. There we go. These bees are very calm, which is one of the things that we do indicate. It's like the very last variable. And that's a result of everything upstream of it going the way of the bees. You know, everything's working out for them. I know that they're queen right because last time we were here, but also their behavior tells me that they are queen right. So here we've got the same pattern we saw last time, but there's more brood having emerged from this capped ring of brood. And then the queen has gone back and laid those fresh with eggs. So last time the eggs were in the middle. It's been several days, so I anticipate seeing larvae because it's older and there's larvae in the middle. So now there's eggs here. That'll eventually be capped. And then this will be eggs. This will have emerged and she will have put fresh eggs there. And it's just a beautiful round and round we go kind of laying pattern. Same on this side. There's our queen. And again, I don't necessarily always look for her. I just look for evidence of her, which we already found out by finding that there's eggs. Eggs will tell you you have a laying queen present. The quality of the pattern will tell you the quality of that queen. All right, so that's one frame of brood. I'm kind of getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and mark that they have a lot of eggs because they're still moving. Oh, that's the wrong date. That's the 6th. So the 13th, that's where we are today. All right, so from the first inspection to this one, they have maintained a strong presence of eggs in the colony. They would not have dipped between the 5th and the 13th because we would see the results of that. This is spring, they're growing. There's no problems going on inside of the hive right now. Mites, even though they're low, have not caught up, and therefore we don't see that viral expression in the colony in any negative way at this point. And if we stay ahead of that in a preventative way, we won't. All right, on to the next frame. Good weight to it. Again, a really nice pattern. A lot of adult bees. Adult density is one of the things we measure. And I think the way that I record that could be improved on my mapping sheet here. All right, so now we're at 2 frames of brood, just like last time. We counted 3 frames last time. I'm curious to see if they have expanded onto the 4th frame. But either way, I know they've got more bees in here than they did the first time we came. Another beautiful pattern. And out here, these cells are open. So I wanted to look, so I decided to look closer, and they're full of eggs. The queen has been over here. She has put eggs everywhere that she possibly can. Same on this side. There's not a cell that's empty. Very high quality queen. So that's 3 frames of brood. Let's see what we've got here. Heavy frame. If there's going to be brood, it'll be on the inside of this. And there's not yet. But they do have pollen, which they always put right up against the next frame with brood. All of that is capped honey along the crown. And the other side, capped honey. Next frame down here, capped honey. So, a lot of resources. Not starving. They have everything they need to grow at the rate that they feel that they can. I'm going to shut them up and we will finish up filling in our records for this colony, and then move into the next one. All right, we've got them shut up. I'm going to finish up this sheet down here on the 13th. Still 3 frames of brood. And now we can see from the first time to this time, they have not grown in that manner, frames of brood, but they have grown in population. And we mark that on the next page. Okay, so population over here on the 13th, still high. We could keep it this simple, or I could actually turn this into how many frames of bees are there, and it would be a little bit more detailed. They are building comb. We saw it up on the top bars because I've got a shim installed. They're filling that area with comb, so I'm going to say yes, they are, which is different from last time. They had not built up any comb in there. So they are building wax. Space adequacy, they still have 4 frames that they could move in on. So yes, they still have space. Resource placement, they're still putting it around the brood like they were before and beside it. And they can't put it above because they've only got 1 box. They're just in a single deep. So we're going to mark this the same way. And I like this because it only takes 1 more inspection to begin to see some change, or at least a colony maintaining itself. Drone production, I saw drone brood. We broke it open when we first opened the colony. Remember that? It's in that built up comb on the top bars. They had none before, now they do. So they're now in a reproductive expressive mode. So it's time to start paying attention to our next one, queen cell activity. There was no queen cell activity, so still, just like last time, and as of right now, they do not intend on swarming, and their demeanor was quite nice, just like the last time, because they can pay the bills. Okay, so now getting into this colony, we will mark these elements and fast forward a little bit. Again, I've told you guys before, I'm not the kind of YouTube and beekeeper that likes to have videos that are too long. My attention span just gets bored at that point. If you like long videos, that's cool. There's definitely plenty of beekeepers on YouTube that offers that. All right, we're gonna set this, we're gonna take this fondant bag out because they have, I better smoke them a little bit. Gotta rip this off. They have finished their fondant patty. The other colony had not. So that's good news. What does that tell me? It tells me this colony is a little bit stronger than that one. Sometimes in your mind you might think, well, maybe they're not stronger, they just needed it more. And so therefore they're weaker. But no, a strong colony is going to finish up resources faster. Plus, looking down between the frames, I already see that there's a larger population in this than there is in that one. We're going to take that trash away today. Again, smoke them a little bit, bring you closer. Let's go through the next hive. Away. Okay. Starting as usual with the outside frame. Gonna pop it loose. Smoking myself. And they've got wax on their outside frame, so they were able to do something last year before they decided to stop working. Again, very calm demeanor in this colony. Tells me that they are likely queen right. This is a lot of open nectar, a little bit of capped along the top, and then also packed full of pollen. Nothing on this side, drawn out a little bit. That dark stuff is where they had brood in it last year. We're gonna bring this to the outside, give ourselves room to work. I like to smoke occasionally where my hive tool is gonna pry those frames apart so that I don't pry any bee legs. All right, got some weight to this frame. Very nice frame of brood. A lot of pollen on this too. Every cell that seems empty has an egg in it. Ooh, that side's a really good frame of open brood. Let's see if we can get a better look at this. The sun is not in our favor in this particular position, but that's a nice frame of open brood, eggs and larvae. If something were to happen to the queen today during inspection, they would have the resources to replace her. It's a good way to always leave a colony knowing that they can replace their queen if they need to, but hopefully they won't. Bringing this up. Ooh, very nice frame of brood. There's our queen. Capped, all three stages of brood on this one. Same on this side. That's our second frame of brood. I want to make sure she comes up away from that bottom bar before I put her back in. And never put a queen back in the colony if she's near one of the bars. I don't want her making contact with anything and squashing or rolling her. Okay, so we're already on 2 frames of brood. They're going to have more frames of brood than the other colony did. Okay, bringing this up real nice and gentle. Huge frame of brood, both sides, all 3 stages. A lot of pollen on this. No signs of any cells. I'm going to scrape this comb so it doesn't scrape against this frame as I put it back in. Got my smoker lightly smoking across the bars here between me and the bees. Kind of nice. All right, this is going to be frame 4 of brood. A lot of capped brood. Drone brood there at the bottom. Lighter capped brood color up here in the right upper hand corner. Darker down here. This stuff is dark biscuit. It'll be emerging more quickly, sooner than the rest. In fact, there's a drone right there. As I understand it, and you may need to check it out, drones are sexually mature within a couple weeks after emerging as an adult. I've just heard that number. I haven't looked it up myself. All right, 4 frames of brood. I'm pretty sure we'll have some on this one. There's a little bit of larva, and a little bit of capped brood, but it's mostly pollen. And that side's full of brood. So all 3 stages on this side. This makes me wonder if there's brood on that final frame because I have it on the outside of this one. So let's do one more check. And nope, just pollen and capped honey. Open nectar. Starting to work on this side with open nectar. And even on the next frame. All right, so let's shut them up. Mark everything we saw here today on our thing and compare it to that other colony. So we've already marked the environmental influences. It's the same, so we don't need to do that again. Now, one thing I should have done on this is only colored half of it blue and then the other half yellow. That way I could keep track of 2 at the same time. And it would look a lot more clear than that, but this will still work. Remember, this is in its infancy stage, so I'm still working out the bugs. Down here, I forgot to mark the velocity, the brood production of the first one. It is up here, and so is this colony, so I will go ahead and mark half of it. And then I can go back with my blue, same blue as this one, and mark that one. Number of frames of brood, they had brood on 5 frames. So since they're above, I'm going to mark them right there. It wasn't a full 5 frames, it just had brood on 5 frames. So there's multiple ways to be able to indicate this. Again, a lot of adults, a high population, and in another spot where I should have given room to be able to mark this. Comb building, yes, they were building it up top just like the first colony. Well, I'm learning something today, aren't I? Space adequacy, yes, they still have plenty of space. Although I will tell you, I considered adding another box, and I would have done it today because it wouldn't have hurt. However, I know we still have a cold dip coming up, and so I'm not going to do that. And right here, again, another spot. Where are they placing the resources? Around their brood and beside it on the peripheral. I should have left room for that as well. Drone production, yes, I saw brood and I saw a drone. Queen selectivity, there were none. Colony behavior, didn't get stung. So I'm kind of glad you guys are seeing this. You see, we're like, I could have done this better. And so you're learning from my mistakes, which is what this channel is largely about. So I just went to put my quilting box back on without that shim since they finished their fondant, and I felt some resistance. It's because they built this comb up onto the bottom of my quilting box. So I just banged a lot of these bees off out front so that they can fly back. We saw the queen inside, so we know she's not up here. So I feel like I can do this safely. Still some bees I could bounce off. Let's see if we can just pop this off around the bees. All right, I'm going to finish this, getting this up, bring you guys back. So again, I wanted to reiterate, I thought about adding a box to that second colony because they're plenty big enough. You don't always have to make them fill every frame in a deep before you give them more room, especially if you're trying to prevent swarming so that you don't get that overcrowding. It depends on your management. If you're trying to make it comb honey, I'm not. So I decided not to add another box until after our last cold snap, which is coming up next week, because I didn't want them to have that extra space to fill. So in the next hive inspection, which will be after that cold spell, I'll go ahead and give them a medium super to start working on and drawing out. Likely it's going to be a slow process until our flow hits, but I'm okay with that. I know the bees will start drawing it out when they feel like doing it. Thanks for joining me in part 2. I look forward to seeing you in part 3 so that we can start to see more patterns as our colonies increase and grow. So until then, see you in the next video. Hive Doctor out.